The first thing to come to mind when someone mentions Westgate is obviously the decline of the mall, I would say now, unfortunately. For so many years it was a symbol of the progress of Ottawa as a city, and I think it just now, it's kind of, a piece of the past.
It's not the glory of the Westgate that I remember. I mean, there's a couple of nice places in there that I would still go. I think the only shop I really remember from it when I first came as a kid is Nettleton's Jewelers. Pretty much everything else has changed or moved or gone somewhere else, It's still here, I'm still fond of it, but compared to what I remember, it's really changed.
It's sad to see it in its state that it's in, because for so many years it was sort of a vibrant mall, and in fact that's how it started life, was sort of the symbol of progress for Ottawa. So the Westgate Mall opened in 1955. After a long building process, it kind of grew and grew from a smaller project to a huge $2+ million thing. So the mall right now is right in kind of the heart of central Ottawa, right where Island Park Drive meets Carling Avenue. Back in the early 50s, it was in the middle of nowhere. It was the old rail line. When they pulled up the tracks after the last train went there in 52, they sort of decided that was an ideal spot to run the Queensway through. But what the rail line had always done was create this sort of triangular piece of property at the far end of the lot that was never used. Harold Schenkman was one of Ottawa's biggest developers back in the 50s and 60s, and it was his vision to go and acquire that property and build that mall. There was a lot of people that told him he was crazy for doing it, and he kind of said, no, this is where I want to do it and it's going to work here. So he put the money into it and built it up, and it was a big success.
It was just part of our community, in a very real way.
It kind of put Ottawa on the map and moved them up a level in terms of the prominence of the city, and giving them that extra, taking them from being a small town to sort of a city handling a huge mall like that.
The advent of the shopping malls and these big malls that have been part of our lives for a long time, that was a big deal. And it was a real adventure to go with your friends with a bit of pocket money or get a part-time job working in one of the shops, which I did.
On the main opening day, the place was full. There's some photos of the day where there's cars, the lot's full. Everyone came out to see this new mall.
I've always loved this area. I loved going to school here. And Westgate was just a landmark, When I was a younger child and my mother had just died, and my sisters and I used to come every Saturday. It was kind of a comforting ritual with our $2 allowance and wander around Westgate for 3-4 hours. So there was a kind of an emotional connection that it was a place of comfort and familiarity for us. I had 2 jobs here. I had a job in the late 70s, and I had another job here in a different shop in the early 80s. And so I spent quite a bit of time at Westgate, a number of years ago. Lots of friends from high school and their parents always came to Westgate, anyone in this neighborhood. It was really, really popular. In the 80s, at that time, there were some interesting shops. It was kind of a family feel because all of the businesses were small, independent shops other than Steinberg's grocery store and Freeman's. But you just got to know all the owners and of the shops, and it was just a really good community feel.
Malls are going to be a lost cause just because of the online shopping. I think that it's just putting a lot of businesses out. It's so much easier to sit at home and order and get what you want and have it delivered. Things are changing. It just hasn't had the ability to be as vibrant as it was. This area needs to be revitalized a bit. And so I'm interested to see what the new development's going to look like. They're already working on the first condo that's going up where the Monkey Joe's used to be. Eventually there'll be, I think, 3 or 4 more towers that are going to go in and make it fully residential. There's promise of some ground floor commercial and some other promises, but when you're in an era where we're looking to add more housing and put more living spaces into the community, this is an ideal spot to do it. We all grew up, going to malls and having that fun of, going with your parents or going with your friends. That's something that's slowly being eroded away, I think. It's a piece of us that'll be lost. It's very cold, it's very unsocial, and unfortunately society's headed that way in a lot of ways, and the mall is just one more symptom of that.
I just feel that local community retail is so important for us to stay healthy and well. We've got to be connected to people and feel that we have just that sense of community and neighborhood. And for me, that's what Westgate really represented.